Peanut butter and jealous is all they are.
The number is like 4 times what we thought it was going to be. And we were like, oh, we don't have it all figured out, but that's entrepreneurship figuring it out.
Boom.
We are back. For us, it's been a while.
It has.
This is 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But for everyone else, it's just a week.
Yeah. Yeah. We keep y'all covered.
Yeah. That we did that back-to-back run on the last one. But this is little tags they put on your clothes right here when you get your clothes washed on the cruise. They don't know why. I think it's just to make sure you don't get mixed up with another room. But that was our room number right there.
I love it.
So speaking of cruise, just got back from our trip. It was a lot of fun. Aubrey didn't know, but we got that surprise upgrade, which I think I talked about on the previous video, that we were going to get the upgrade to the suite, 2-bedroom suite.
Yeah, that's sick.
It was, yeah. And then, by the way, that video has 1.2 million views, the room tour.
Dang, Cribs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Most people are just saying, wow, you still vacation with your mommy and daddy? I bet mommy and daddy paid for that.
Hey, family first, man.
Actually, it was so my comment back to some of those were just like, yeah, it's so weird that I have a great relationship with my family, you know? And the weird part is some of these people that commented had kids. And I'm like, you
jealous.
Yeah.
Peanut butter and jealous is all they are. I'm telling you.
Those kids don't want to hang out with you.
Man, I got to work at relationships. You know, me and my mother butt heads on a lot of stuff, but I love having her around. That's the point. It's family.
Y'all went to New York together recently.
Last,
a couple months ago?
Yeah, a couple months ago. I don't remember what month we were there, but yeah, a ton of fun.
Yeah, and so.
Anyways, about the cruise. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. The experience. Aubrey and I have been on every experience of a cruise. We've stayed in the interior cabins, like at the bottom of the ship, which you would consider like the most budget-friendly cruise.
Dancing in the bottom with Leo.
And then we've done the 2-bedroom suites that come with a Royal Genius, what they call it, which was essentially like a personal concierge service, because that Genie has 3 rooms. That's it.
Okay.
And they just.
Now you say Genie.
Yeah, that's what they call them.
I'm thinking Robin Williams.
Yeah.
Will Smith.
Yeah. Our Genie's name was Wendy. She was really nice. She was from China, but she was like, when they first started this Royal Genie program, she was one of the first ones to do it. So she's been doing it for like, I don't know, she said like 7 years or something.
It's amazing how they find people from all over the world.
Yeah. So she started in like customer service down in like the guest service desk.
Okay.
And then she kind of moved up to like concierge desk, and then
crushed it.
And she said during COVID, because they weren't cruising, she went back home to China, worked for a little bit, and was like, I hate this. I can't wait for the cruises to come back. And the cruises came back. She was pieced out again.
Yeah,
so
that's
Aubrey
awesome.
actually asked her an interesting question. She's from China, and Aubrey goes, do you have any siblings? And she said, no, we weren't allowed to have more than one child when I was born until like 5 years ago. They've now removed that rule, and now they're trying to incentivize people to have more kids than 1 or 2, because the population decline was so rapid.
The birth rate versus death rate or whatever.
Well, for 2 people could only have 1 child,
Yeah.
so you're essentially trying to cut the population in half. And then what happened is all these single child situations, some of them aren't marrying. The ones that are marrying are not having children at all. So now they're like, oh, crap.
What do I do with all this money?
Yeah, money.
What do I do with all this money now that I don't have kids?
Well, I think that, I was talking about just like the China infrastructure.
No, I know China. Yeah.
It's just infrastructure in general. Like the reason that people had a lot of kids back in the day, in my opinion, was because, one, it was a lot harder to have a child survive all the way up to the age of 18.
Yeah,
That's
you had to
thing.
buffer.
And then 2, like you needed help around
workforce.
Yeah, it's a workforce, a built-in workforce.
Dude, for sure. You're going to go run and stake a stick in the ground and call it yours. You got a lot of work to do to keep it.
Well, yeah, and then you have like, just the ranch in general, like all the animals and all that stuff. So, but anyways, that was just a side story. It was interesting to hear about that. And obviously she's just a little bit younger than we are, and she's not planning on marrying. So, yeah.
She's salty. She's living the sea life, man. Yeah, cruising around.
But the cruise was great. Every morning, our routine was we had Starbucks coffee delivered to the room.
Okay.
And then we would either have breakfast delivered with it, or we would go to breakfast, in like 30 minutes to an hour later. Then after breakfast, we'd usually go to the pool with Letty, which now her favorite pool is the hot tub. Once you show a child a hot tub, I don't know what.
Jets, and it's hot, and I don't know.
They're obsessed with it. It's small, too.
Yeah,
I think it's just something about it being like a tiny pool for them. But, we had our own little deck where the suites could go with its own hot tub and stuff, which was nice. They had a splash pad on there. I didn't like it as much as the splash pad on the smaller ship, the Independence Seas. It just, I don't know, there was a lot of kids trying to play on it, and it was more enforced. It was like a free play at the last place, and there was our own little pool, too. This one was like a free-for-all, and kids were just like, yeah. So,
True that.
But so then we'd go have lunch somewhere. Because we had the meal package with this room, we were able to just like eat all the specialty restaurants for free. So, the Mexican restaurant, Johnny Rockets.
What was your favorite place to eat?
Oh, we had sushi for lunch.
Okay,
and they have a really good.
They
sushi
normally
restaurant.
do pretty good sushi on there.
Everyone in that sushi restaurant, or everyone in that
they'll
restaurant
bring
was
them
either Japanese or Chinese too, which
for
is
sure.
pretty interesting. That was really good. And then after that, we would usually go home, back to nap Letty. My parents would watch her, or Aubrey and I would do the rotation where someone watched her while the other one worked out, and vice versa.
Right.
And because we had such a nice room and the balcony was so nice, you could just lay out on the balcony and get sun while Letty was napping. So that was a win on that. Then after that, it would just be like, get ready, go to dinner. Then after dinner, we'd usually catch a show. Our room, we could watch the Aqua Theater show, which happened on the first, second, third, and last night. So like there was always, and they played movies out there.
What was the best show?
The last night's Aqua Theater show was different than the other ones, and it was just like a jewelry heist is what the way they did it, but it was just way more
like
diving.
Cirque du Soleil water style.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah, which I think Cirque du Soleil water style.
So
is
like
called Aqua.
high acrobatic water show on a cruise for y'all to kind of imagine that.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think this boat's moving at some points like 20 knots, and some guy is doing a 50-foot dive into a pool.
And it looks like a drinking glass from up that high.
Well, yeah, even from our room, which we were probably like 3 floors above the pool, it looked small. And they're jumping from like 2 floors high.
I've never jumped off anything quite like that. But like, I don't know, as a kid growing up, used to jump off things all the time. Looking up at it, you're like, oh, that's not that high. Looking down from up off of it, you're like, oh, buddy, this is high up here.
Yeah, perspective, right?
Well, even like the Bailey Bridge, I used to jump off that thing all the time. Every time you get and look over from the top, you're like, oh, dang, it's a long way down to the water. But when you're in the water looking up, you're like, it's not that high.
Yeah.
But you ain't about to jump either, so it's a weird kind of psychological thing.
Yeah, I don't think I've really done. I just know water hurts.
Oh.
Like you hit water wrong.
Man, so talking about the Bailey Bridge, Kirsty wanted to jump off that thing with me one time way back in the day. And so I was like, all right, let's go. And she's like, well, you got to hold my hand. I said, all right, no problem. We're going to jump on 3, yada, yada. 1, 2, 3, jump. Well, I jumped. She didn't jump. She still had death grip my hand, though. So my 200 and whatever pound ass went in the water, and so did she. Just kind of more like, ah.
So you like drug her down.
Yeah,
like
she kind of did a side buster. Sorry, baby.
Yeah. Well,
long time ago, but
if you're holding on, you gotta be ready to go.
you gotta be ready to jump. You can't have commitment issues. You gotta go.
But overall, really great trip. We vlogged the whole thing. It'll probably come out to be like 3 different videos. Aubrey and I made a couple of like short form content, which is what I was talking about earlier. I just did a quick little walkthrough of the room. It's like a minute long reel. And right at the end of it, it was the day that we first got on, they were doing dive practice for the show.
Oh.
So at the very end of the reel, like as I walk out to the balcony, someone's doing a dive like into the water. And
That's so sick.
I captured it. It almost feels like I planned it to be that way.
Yeah, you did. He's being humble, yo.
I wish I
He's
could.
being humble.
I mean, I nailed it pretty good on timing.
He picked up the phone. He said, "You better dive in the back of my reel."
Yeah, I had
He
a
said,
cue.
"Say less."
We shot off a flare, and they
You're like, "Yo, Genie, here's my wish."
Yeah. So the that reel though has like 38,000 likes and like 34,000 shares. 34,000 shares.
Y'all keep sharing.
Yeah, I think it's just because it's like that's not what a normal cruise room looks like.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and then you just have jealous and angry people too.
Flex.
Yeah.
Y'all need a flexorcism
But it was
in your lives.
We won it on a royal upgrade bid, so we didn't play retail. But you know.
It's okay, man. That's what we work hard for.
Yeah.
You don't have to apologize for it, man. Y'all need to get your hustle up. Get it together. Y'all can cruise with Brad one day too.
Well, yeah, someone did talk like trash on there, and the way they talked trash was like, I was essentially like, hey man, if you just spend some more time working on your business, because they like their profile said they had their own business, instead of like talking shit on the social media, like you may be able to do a little better.
Yeah, if you were here trying to sell me something, you might be making the money you need to get on said trip.
Right.
But instead, I don't know what you're doing.
And I think that sometimes that comes off like cocky or like rude to people. But the truth is, majority of things in life that you want to achieve just take more work than you're either willing to put in or you're doing right now. And it reminds me of the Alex Hormozi thing. He had a mentor, and his mentor was telling him like, oh, you should go put up flyers. Like flyers are really big for us. So he went out and he hung up like 300 flyers, and like nothing happened. No calls or anything. And the next call he had with his mentor, he was like, the flyers thing was stupid. Like, blah, blah. And the mentor was like, well, how many flyers did you put up? And he said 300. And the mentor just started laughing. And he's like, yeah, we put up 5,000 a day. He's like, so you just didn't do enough
Get
work.
your weight up.
Yeah.
Right.
Essentially like do more, you know? And a lot of the stuff that Alex Hormozi talks about, reading through a lot of his books is just like, do more. Like if 100 cold calls yields you 4 new customers, then do 100 cold calls every day, and you'll have 120 new customers.
Oh, you're dead right, man. Like when I was growing U.S. Lawns, I would go around. I would literally introduce myself, and at some point say like I was if I didn't think I had a chance of getting the customer at all, I just said I had a quota. I had a no quota. I had to get 100 no's today before I can be done. And when you go into it knowing that you're gonna I don't know, work your ass off. I'm going to do everything in my power to do everything right. Do my best sales pitch. Do everything. But if I'm there collecting no's, it's no steam, it's no wind out of my sails. I'm on to the next customer because I've got something that, they want, need, whatever it is. Yeah. So, that was pretty easy. Do more work, you'll get more. Percentage wise, there's some hitters. I know some folks out there that do nothing. You know who you are. Y'all know who you are. But whatever. Hey, good on them, man. They're slick. They are smarter than the rest of us. I'm a sharp guy, but I know I can't always be the smartest guy, but I can work as hard. I've never really ever ran into, I couldn't have worked harder. Normally when I look back on it, I go, ugh.
I could have done more.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of things in life. I don't think that a lot of people get done with a circumstance and it was like, I literally did every single. Look at even the greatest athletes. They'll be like, I could have done this differently. I should have done this. Like they're always going to find. Because I guess if you truly can't find anything you did wrong, then that just takes a little bit of ownership off of you, and I don't like that. I want to have complete ownership of everything.
The Greek myth, I forget the guy who did it, but the marathon runner that like ran it, delivered the note, and died. He ran so fast. There you go. Now you gave it your all.
Yeah. You couldn't have been.
You gave it a little too much if you died before you got there. But
I would argue that you maybe gave a little too much if you died.
You did,
got there, But
you gave it your all though.
Yeah. But yes, so, social media, so that post, Aubrey and I, people are always like, disconnect on your vacations. But truly, that's probably the time that I like sharing the most.
I can see that.
Because it's not as like monotonous as my day-to-day
It's fun
is.
sharing, yeah.
Well, yeah, it definitely is like more fun stuff. But even just beyond that, just the food we're eating is just different food than I'm used to seeing every day.
It's exciting, and it's exciting to share. I can see that completely.
Yeah, so I think that's the hardest part for me is people are like, oh, don't post, just disconnect. I'm like, yeah, but this is the time I like posting,
right.
So I'll just take a week off when I get home.
Yeah, yeah. Just the ability also to some degree. You're a business owner and everything else. You got to stay plugged in. Obviously, we're communicating while you're gone, but like the ability to just kind of go like, I'm on a freaking boat. If something happens, somebody else is gonna have to deal with it this time. Like
I
boom.
definitely relaxed a lot more. Like I think having a team around me now, I feel I know that one, progress doesn't stop when I'm gone. Used to when it was always just me, like progress stopped on any of the back end work, but progress is all the time going on, even when I'm not here, which is a really good feeling, because you feel like you're always moving towards the next thing. And another thing is just like knowing that there's people here that can handle just about anything that comes up.
Well, yeah, too, man. And that's a great thing that you touch on, though. But like the difference between being self-employed, though, and being kind of a business owner, it's that monumental shift when like, yeah, you're still needed. You're an absolutely essential part of your business. Or what are you doing there? I guess then you're just a shareholder maybe. But yeah, when the business keeps growing and going without you. Yeah, if you disappear too long, you might be like, whoa, guys, we've gone too far, or we've gone in the wrong direction. But the fact that it's like you can disappear, come back, you know, do your thing, come back and go, not go, why are we still in the same spot or sliding backwards is a breath of fresh air. It allows you to grow and look at other things and really get some momentum going.
Yeah, and you know, I think it's part of it too is just like the peace that comes with knowing that like there's other firefighters on deck when you're not there. Maybe you're the main firefighter, but you're gone, and someone else is going to step up and fight the fires while you're gone. But predominantly, what Aubrey and I share on social media really is the food. Yeah. Most people love watching us go to dinners at the different restaurants, seeing all the different food, and all that stuff. Just because. The truth is, cruise ships do have a buffet, but they have specialty restaurants that have like all kinds of.
They have a crazy operation going on there, man. Like the buffets, even like the culinary artists or whatever that are just carving things all day long must be. You know, like there's just random fruit sculptures and just stuff where you're like, wow, your full-time job must just be like being a fruit ninja like all day.
Yeah, I didn't do it on this cruise, but I have before done a galley tour. I think I didn't do it on this cruise because they said no video. Okay. You used to get video. I think if I went back and found it, I'd be able to find some of the video.
Take you back to your naval days?
Yeah. No, this is way more. I mean, the submarine has like 180 people on it if we have like riders and stuff. Yeah. I mean, maybe 200 if you have like a huge team. Like, yeah, the most you'll have is like 200. The cruise ship, I think, has like something like 6,000 guests, not even including staff. The staff
like 1 to 1 or something.
There's like 2,000 staffs. There's like 1 to 3.
Yeah,
but like
so
people
many.
are like mind blown by that. But the truth is, like, there's a lot of staff you don't see, laundry staff.
But they're still everywhere, though. Yeah. You know, anytime you need anything on a cruise, like they're just like
every floor you'll see
somebody there is there to help you.
Yeah, for sure. It really is true. But I remember the galley tour that we went on, like seeing how they made soup, and it was like in these like cauldrons. I don't know how to describe it, but they'd be like, you know,
bigger than our mixers, man. And they
2.5 feet wide, and then like they were deep, you know, and they were just stainless steel, everything, and they were doing just batches of like, you know, 600 gallons of soup.
Yeah, dude, during some holds that I was in various schools in the Army, I would get kind of voluntold into the kitchen. I'd pick the kitchen if I had a choice. Otherwise, I did a ton of other stuff. But the kitchen always amazed me because just the amount of
food they can churn out.
Yeah, like super sacks of potatoes that they're going to turn into hash browns.
So you'll appreciate this.
Yeah.
We were docked in, so the cruise went to their private island. So it was like Sea Day, their private island, Sea Day, St. Thomas, St. Kitts, and then 2 sea days at the end. When we pulled into St. Kitts, the U.S. like essentially whatever the international traveling like health organization that like does audits came and did a surprise audit.
Oh,
and they were having like issues like getting food out like across the ship because the auditor was like, you know, essentially checking everything, so it was like taking way more time. Right. Like at one point, they didn't have any cut. All the fruit were whole. You couldn't get anything cut because they just didn't even have time to like cut the fruit up, you know. But they were talking about how like when before the auditor came on board, they were just like throw this away, get rid of this, like, do this, because they just it's not they were doing anything wrong. They just hadn't documented like certain things, and without the documentation, you couldn't prove it. Right. So they were like literally just like throwing out food.
I know it's you know all the hoops we got to jump through. It is from the best of intentions, but you know obviously everybody wants to stay safe and healthy. But what it turns into sometimes at the end of it is like just paperwork and not even like the intended effect. You know, like
it will, and it also turns into a thing where you're rewarded. Or sorry, you're punished even if you come forward with your own deficiencies. Yeah. So people start hiding things because it leads to this whole idea of just like, like, well, if we know we did something wrong, but we don't tell anybody, we won't get in trouble. And I mean, that's actually what happened with Bluebell ice cream and their Listeria outbreak. They tried to hide it. But Listeria, you can't hide that. And eventually it like came out. But they legitimately tried to like keep it going for a while.
I know Listeria here, y'all. We test regularly.
Yeah. But I mean, it's one of those situations that it's like I don't know what goes through people's minds because like once you realize there's listeria in your facility, like
shut it down,
you got to.
boys. Sterilize
and every day that
everything.
you keep going is just more money and recall and wasted product and time and all that stuff.
Oh man, yeah.
But Blue Bell shut down for like 2 years.
They would have. I mean,
Would you remember that? You don't remember that?
I
It was in,
remember
like-
you couldn't get their product. I didn't remember the full
Yeah,
extent.
it was
of
listeria outbreak. So,
That's crazy.
but no, I mean, I think that just like what blows my mind about it all is just like the logistics of a cruise ship. Every single time they go into a port, fresh produce and things is being loaded on there. And, on the last day or like when you're leaving the cruise ship and people are getting on, they're like fully like bringing on the alcohol, bringing on the water, bringing
Everything.
on all that stuff. And then just like storing that much stuff.
Just
Like the logistics and storage behind
that.
all of that. Because like one time I went on a cruise and we this was like in February and Aperol Spritz had made its way to being like a drink that have you ever had an Aperol Spritz?
Never heard
But
of it.
yeah, so it's like it became big on TikTok. It became a trendy drink,
Okay.
right? So I was like, oh, I'd like an Aperol Spritz. I just want to try this thing on the cruise. And they're like, we don't have any Aperol.
What is Aperol?
The alcohol you need for Aperol
okay.
Spritz.
All right,
But
all right.
anyways, they didn't get their shipment in, and
Oh,
they had been
snap.
going through it so much because it
Oh,
become a
'cause it was
trendy
popular.
drink.
All right, yeah.
They didn't get the shipment in, and they were just out of it. So it was interesting to like see that. There technically would be times that they may run out of stuff.
I'm sure they run out of stuff all the time.
Actually, I think the last day we were on the ship, the last night, my dad ordered some kind of bourbon at dinner, and they were out. of the
Yeah,
bourbon.
okay, I
So
could
he had
see
to
that.
Try something else, but
Oh.
you just got to think. I mean,
They only have what they have. It's kind
I'm
of
curious. Do you think there's a large fluctuation in the alcohol consumption, like cruise to cruise?
Yes, I do because it's probably like weather dependent and probably like I don't know. What else.
The age range,
The ages of the
crew.
people on the cruise. See, I don't know because like
Like, how would you that'd be a hard prediction. Oh, everyone's drinking beer and they were drinking wine before. All that stuff.
mhm. Yeah, how do you? I don't know how you gauge that, but some economist I'm sure studies that and
Yeah.
has an idea.
But that's all the stuff that they have to worry about logistically on a ship. Because like if you're at an all-inclusive resort, they'll just get it delivered the next day.
Right.
More stuff. Or
Well, but
whenever.
even at all inclusives, they normally don't run out of things, but they also just will be like, no, that's not included.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that thing isn't included. That's extra.
Yeah.
So you're just like, oh, okay.
But no, I think I'm just so amazed by, the ability. Well, because you're very limited on storage too. Like in an all-inclusive in Mexico, for example, like if they need more storage, they build more storage, right?
Right.
Or like, or if they
Buy another
temporarily
couple hectares of land.
need to store some stuff like in a different location, they can probably do that. Cruise ships, it's like everything's accounted for. Like you don't.
Can't really float a dinghy behind you.
Yeah.
A little trailer.
A little tow behind.
Yeah, that don't work. Man, that's nuts, dude. Just the full logistics on that. I've always thought the same thing with those and even like shipping vessels.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Shipping vessels just don't have to deal, with the crew, like as many crew, but they're still so massive.
I'm going to say, like, how many eggs does a cruise ship use? The ship that carries 3,500 passengers, which this is big, ours was bigger than that, uses 600 pounds of butter per day. And
We gaining on them, bro.
250,000 eggs per week.
Dang.
That is insane. A quarter of them, and that's in a 3,500 passenger. We were at like almost twice that size.
That's like how many chickens do they eat on a cruise? There might be some chicken genocide going on over here in the cruise industry. And
Look, 6,780 guests. So 6,780 guests and 2,100 crew members.
dang,
So that's what I was trying to say. Like, this is double. So we went through
Half a
probably
million eggs.
500,000 eggs in a week.
wow, I don't know how I feel about that. That's a lot of eggs.
That's insane.
How many eggs does a chicken farm make?
I don't know.
Like that seems like a lot.
Oh man, it wants me to turn off my ad blocker to read this post about the cruise ship stuff.
But yeah, anyways, man, shuttling all that on and off the boat. What do you got going on? Oh,
Try to turn
yeah,
on.
yeah.
Okay. I just want to see these ad blockers so I could see. They bake bread 24/7. 1,500 pounds of flour daily.
Dang. I'm trying to make
Well,
bread
probably
24/7.
Probably close to 3,000 pounds, like I said, because our ship was twice as big. They make ice cream every day. Yeah, we knew that. Local ingredients, huh? I don't believe that. Chefs are expertly trained, sure.
Sorry, y'all. We're just reading a fancy article here by the Insider.com.
Well, another thing about the chef thing, Aubrey and I went to chef's table on like the second to last night, and the chef like creates a menu, and it's like paired with alcohol.
Ooh.
And it was I guess it would be like they gave you a drink when you walked in, and then it was like 5 courses and dessert, so 6-course meal, and every single course had alcohol.
Dang, boy.
Yeah, so Aubrey and I just like sipped a little bit of the wine, but
Turn
we did
up
not drink
Tony
it all.
over here.
The girl next to us, like at the espresso martini was the last drink that they gave you with this like chocolate.
Pow!
They call
Boy,
it chocolate
get it.
world, but it's this chocolate ball, like a sphere, but on the inside sphere is a peanut butter mousse and a chocolate cake and salted caramel gelato.
Oh, yum.
And then they pour a hot caramel on top and it melts the ball, into it all. It's Aubrey and I's favorite dessert on the cruise.
Okay.
If they got rid of the peanut butter, it would be my favorite dessert probably ever. So we have espresso martini and that, and the girl looks over at me and Aubrey because we've been kind of chit-chatting with her, and she goes, "I'm wasted." She's like, she had drank essentially 7 drinks, It was a long meal. It was like 3 hours, but still, I mean, 6 glasses of wine, and even over a 3-hour time, especially because I'm assuming a lot of these people have been drinking leading up to this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You got to be a professional.
Game over.
I don't like dessert alcohol, though. So, like, I don't like.
You don't like sweet alcohol?
I mean, it can
wine?
be sweet. Yeah, it can be like sweet wine and stuff's okay. Like, I mean, like the martini with the chocolate sauce and the stuff in it. That stuff just hurts my stomach.
I don't
Anything with milk or cream and
the
alcohol.
espresso martini wasn't my thing. But,
yeah, I'm out on that one. But
they also put like 3 coffee beans in there, and I was like, "Am I supposed to eat these?" Or
maybe I eat coffee
Aubrey,
beans.
do you eat the coffee beans? She's not even listening. She's ignoring us.
Yep.
So
Probably a good call.
crazy logistics brings me back to logistics of Fat and Weird Cookie.
Oh man.
So
we got some interesting problems to solve
so
here.
for people that don't know, our first wholesale contract is most likely going to be like our big one, because we've signed wholesale contracts, but a big one like over tens of thousands of cookies, in this case hundreds of thousands of cookies, is with Myers. And we had kind of made some projections based on what Publix, I think, or what Trader Joe's.
It was both. We were using a blended average between what they gave us.
Yeah, Trader Joe's has like 600-ish locations, and Publix has like 1,300. So we had gotten some numbers from both of them. So we kind of were like, okay, Myers has about 285 locations or something like that. So just under 300. So should be at like X amount of out of X cookies that they need. And they sent us their soft numbers week before last
4
or
to
so.
5 times
but they've kind of tweaked them. But in general, they've stayed within like 2% of each other. So they're like not varying a lot. But the number is like 4 times what we thought it was going to be. And we were like, oh, you want as much cookies as like Publix was going to want. And Publix was going to be like this is going to be difficult.
Yeah.
So we were like, oh man.
Well, so yeah,
It comes out to like what, 7 truckloads?
And change depending on how we can stack them and how we can, the size of the truck, whether or not that cooler unit is on the outside of the truck or the inside for that extra 2 pallets or whatever. Yeah, so I don't know.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting. Yeah, it's going to be super interesting.
Yeah, and so I think a lot of people don't think about when they're scaling a business that like everything scales, especially when you're in a business like us that orders raw ingredients and makes a product. If you're a company like, our friends at HydroJug who just released their shaker cups, when you want to release, a new product like these shaker cups, like you don't necessarily have to like order all these spare things and put the product together. You just have to have space in your warehouse for either a new
you have a
SKU
manufacturer that makes the product for you, and then you warehouse.
You warehouse that, right? But I mean, it's
a finished product.
Yeah, you can
basically
let SKUs go and bring it in, or you have space for new SKUs, like however you handle it. But when you're talking about like needing to put out, let's just say 100,000 cookies, and you had been putting out, 25,000 cookies, now all of a sudden you need 4 times the ingredient space. Yep. So, and 4 times the storage space to store the raw goods. So you don't just need the space for the raw
and the interim goods and the finished product and everything in between. But the other thing that people oftentimes don't think about is like pathway usage. So like a logistics thing. You don't really normally ever track your walkways, your pathways or whatever, but when you're running forklifts and running pallet jacks and running things that might take up your whole path, certain areas you go, oh, well, it's never an issue. Okay, well, what if you did it 4 times the amount you're doing it now? Okay, well, what about 10 times the amount? Like at some point, like roads, at some point, they're impassable, and it's almost intangible, really hard to plan for. You just kind of have to overshoot because you're like, damn, I don't know how often I'm going to run the forklift now.
Yeah, I think the economy of scale just like turns into like you could need, say you need a 5,000 square foot building to do this comfortably. I think that truthfully, if this building were arranged a certain way, 5,000 square feet would be doable. It would be hard, but it'd be doable. Yeah. Now to go to 4x the output, I think you don't go from a 5,000 square foot to a 20,000. You go from like a 5,000 square foot to like a 40,000 square foot building to 4 times your output.
Well, at some point, it depends. It's because of what we do.
Yeah.
So we are, which also is kind of why it's so cool, but like every step of the way, our product is food from the ingredients to the end. So we have to treat it differently than, some metal drinking containers.
Right. Yeah.
There's nobody wants to get a bug contact any of their stuff. It can't touch our stuff ever.
Yeah.
We have to get rid of it. Then all the way down to like just our process, because we have filled cookies. We have to make them certain ways because, they have to be handled, bagged, portioned certain ways. And then at the end of it, we're selling at wholesale a frozen product. So it has to be staged somewhere in a freezer, storage thing. I got a document or a docuseries saved up on ice cream and how they store it all from somewhere in Asia, but I'm gonna watch it. I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
Anyways, a lot of logistical problems to solve.
And problems that we weren't building this building to.
Right.
That's another, not issue, but just I did not build this building for where we are now.
Yep, big pivot.
Yeah. So now we can do pre-packaged cookies, all day. The truth is we have space to put in more ovens. We have space to put in another flow
oven
wrapper.
Tunnel.
We do. We have the space to put in an oven tunnel. Like we have the ability to do all of those things. But
our wholesale product needs a lot of staging.
Is different. It needs that freezer time. It needs to not be out in Florida's weather.
Nope. For any real length of time.
Yeah.
So anyways, these are problems that you guys are going to watch us solve. Tune in while we solve them in front of your eyes, or we cry.
Yeah.
One of those. Be entertaining either way.
Yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now with Fat and Weird is we just have like massive growth on the horizon, and really my time and a lot of the team's time is spent right now trying to just grease the road ahead of us because there's about, probably 5 different paths we can take on how we're going to handle our growth. And we may take a combination of some of the paths. We know we need to add on to our building. So we're already working that angle, but with construction, even if Adam and I pedal to the metal, you're thinking maybe a year from the moment we actually get the green light, and we don't even have the green light yet.
An ambitious year, but it could be done. But that's a year. It's multifold. If we're band-aiding something to kind of get us through, then we're stressing out our people, we're stressing out our staff. If we are not doing that, then we are delaying revenue, delaying sales opportunities, and effectively allowing someone else's foot in the door, which that ain't happening.
Yeah, we're not letting that happen.
If you know of an excellent co-packer, reach out to us.
Yeah, that's actually like one of the avenues that we're going to explore. Obviously, we're still going to make as much as we can here, but we're going to need someone to help assist or
Well, I think finding somebody that has the space, that has the ability to freeze product, bring in, maintain SQF standards, maintain a food. So like a large warehouse food handling facility. And then we were to partner with them at whatever level. I know there's nobody that's going to be able to pick up the phone and make our product. But if we have to go out there, spend time, be in the facility, bring the equipment in and store it if they have, like we talked about today. You know, Brad reached out to a bunch of our equipment vendors, and you know, there's a lot of different opportunities. I know we're not really just going to find your generic, hey, I want my own brand on the side of a coffee bag, but we need somebody with 50 to 100,000 square foot of space, you know, 25 plus thousand square foot of freezer space if you got it, and the ability to dock, you know, and then from there we'll bring in all the equipment and everything else pretty much.
Yeah, that's so for a lot of people that are watching that may not know, when you're dealing with like food lines, a lot of times what you do is you find a facility that can accept your line, and then you can buy equipment in there, and that's kind of like buying your line time, and then they'll actually either rent your own equipment back from you to run someone else that wants to do something similar, or you know, you're using it 100% of the time and you can't, you know, you don't need to.
Yeah. Like anything else, there's so many different opportunities. We'll definitely keep y'all in the loop on what we do. But if y'all have any questions, I mean, throw some questions in there. At some point, we'll want some
definitely
question and answers. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of creative ways, and we're going to have to get real creative to tackle this, you know,
this problem.
million cookies a month beast.
But I just wanted this, you know, since this is our businessy podcast, I just wanted to kind of follow up with kind of like what we're doing, just so we can give some transparency and maybe show you that like we don't have it all figured out, but that's entrepreneurship is like figuring it out. I think that truthfully, the difference between like a really good entrepreneur and a great entrepreneur sometimes is just their ability to figure things out. They do it quicker, or they are more creative, because sometimes the solution is really out of the box. So
well, and we kind of talked about it a while back, but like kind of the ability to take those hits, take those licks, and keep going. You know, I think good entrepreneurs don't have all the answers figured out, nor do they pretend to themselves that they do. They just know that when those hits come in, they're going to go, all right, I'm on it.
Yeah, I'll
sit here until I get it figured out.
It doesn't mean that you can't go in a corner and cry for a second.
Yep,
you know, it's
maybe you have to.
Completely acceptable, but
That's right.
But then you got to go back out there and you got to fix it. And
That's
you got to
right.
solve it.
Pull your bootstraps up and get back to work.
So, that's it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed our podcast back from the cruise for me. Adam was holding down the fort, and
that's right.
And the fort is still here.
It's here. We didn't blow away. Hopefully this hurricane doesn't do anything. We're purple shirt bros, by the way. We didn't say anything about that.
No. So yeah, funny story. We were both wearing different clothes this morning. Adam had to leave to do stuff, and so you know he went and showered. I had worked out, so I went and showered. And then he's walking up to do the podcast. I'm like, wow, we're both wearing purple shirts. So.
That's okay. Winning. Twinning. Let's go.
All right. You're worth it. Do hard shit.